They thought that it was useless to try going to Pavonis. They'll either lock you up or kill you, as Sanja put it. But when the 6 travelers decided to try anyway, they were given precise directions to a refuge, a night's flight to the west. It was the Southern Margretifer weather station. The Bakusan people told them. Occupied by Bogdanovists. Nadia's heart leaped when she heard that word. She couldn't help it. But Arkady had a lot of friends and followers, and none of them seemed to know where he was. Still, she found herself unable to sleep that day, her stomach again tied in a knot. That night at sunset, she was happy to return the planes and take off. The rebels in Bakusin sent them on their way so laden with hydrazine and gases and freeze-dried food that their planes had a hard time getting off the ground. Their night flight had taken on a strangely ritual aspect, as if they were in the process of inventing a new and exhausting pilgrimage. The 2 planes were so light that they were sometimes buffeted hard by the prevailing western winds, sometimes bouncing wildly 10 meters up or down, so that it was impossible to sleep for long, even when one was not flying. A sudden drop or lift, and one was awake again, in the dark little cabin, staring out the window at the black sky and stars above, or the starless black world below. They spoke hardly at all. The pilots hunched forward, expending their energy on keeping a visual fix on the other plane. The planes hummed along, winds keening over their long, flexible wings. It was 60 degrees below zero outside. The air, only 150 millibars, and poisonous. And there was no shelter on this black land below. For many kilometers in every direction. Nadia would pilot for a while, then move to the back and twist and turn and try to sleep. Often the click of a transponder over the radio, combined with the general aspect of their situation, would remind her of the time that she and Arkady had ridden the storm on the Arrowhead. She would see him then, striding red-bearded and naked through the broken interior of the dirigible, tearing away paneling to throw overboard, laughing, fines floating in a nimbus around him. And then the 16D would jerk her awake, and she would twist with discomfort of her fear. It would have helped to pilot again, but Yele wanted to as much as she, at least for the first couple hours of his watch. There was nothing for it but to help him watch for the other plane. Always a kilometer to the right, if all be well. If all was well. I don't know why I put some ye old English on it, but okay. There was nothing for it but to help him watch for the other plane. Always a kilometer to the right, if all was well. They had occasional radio contact with the other plane, but microbursted the calls and kept them to a minimum. hourly checks or inquiries if one fell behind. Everything had taken on ritualistic qualities. And in the dead of night, it sometimes seemed this was all any of them had ever done. It was hard to recall what life had been like before the revolt. And what had it been? 24 days? 3 weeks? Though it felt like 5 years. And then the sky would begin to bleed behind them. High cirrus clouds turning purple, rust, crimson, lavender, and then swiftly to metal shavings in a rosy sky. And the incredible fountain of the sun would pour over some rocky rim or scarp, and they would search anxiously as they ghosted over the pocked and shadowed landscape, looking for some sign of an airstrip by the Piste. I'm emphasizing that we take sips. Okay. Cheers. Looking for some sign of an airstrip. After the eternal night, it seemed impossible that they would have navigated successfully to anything at all. But there lay the gleaming Piste below. I gotta stop reading soon. This is fun. And then their plane crashed and they all died. The end. And there lay the gleaming Piste below, which they could land on directly in an emergency. And the transponders being all individually identifiable and pegged to the map, their navigation was always more sure than it seemed. All I heard was jerking 16Ds, god damn it. Excuse me. And the transponders being all individually identifiable and pegged to the map, their navigation was always more sure than it seemed. So every dawn, they would spot a strip down in the shadows ahead. A welcome blonde pencil strip of perfect flatness. Down they would glide, thump against the ground, slow down, taxi to whatever facilities they could find, stop the engines, slump back in the seats. Feel the strange lack of vibration, the stillness of another day. Dude, Kim Stanley Robinson got so poetic in the last chapter or so. I don't care that he says Piste every paragraph. Technically, it's Nadia saying it. I wonder if that's like the little personality flare that... Is it like a personality flare that the writer is putting in? I don't know. It's getting very visual. What's that called? Imagery? I wanted a fancier word than that, but yeah. I'm gonna read for like 10 more minutes. We'll go to like 1 a.m. Why not? Oh, shit. Yeah, and the next line, margarita fur. Hello, Flexo, Xenon. Hello, anybody I haven't said hi to. Oh, it actually does say margarita fur. We already read that. We read that like a few pages ago, and it almost fucking destroyed me. The stillness of another day. That morning, they landed at the Strip by the Margaritaville station. Why did they name it Margaritaville? Oh my god. I'm trying to take this seriously. That morning, they landed at the Strip by the Margaritaville station and were met at their planes by a dozen men and women who were extremely enthusiastic in their welcome, hugging and kissing the 6 travelers countless times and laughing as they did so. Oh my god, it's a cult. The 6 clumped together, more alarmed by this than by the wary greeting of the day before. Their welcomers did not neglect to run laser readers over their wrists to identify them, which was reassuring. But when the AI confirmed that they were indeed receiving 6 of the first 100, they burst into cheers and carried on in the very highest of spirits. In fact, when the 6 were led through a lock into a commons, several of their hosts went over immediately to some small tanks and breathed in hits of what proved to be nitrous oxygen and a pandorphin aerosol. After which they laughed themselves silly. I'm scared. One of them, a slender, fresh-faced American, introduced himself. I'm Steve. I trained with Arcady on Phobos in 12, and worked with him on Clark. Most of us here worked with him on Clark. We were in Schiaparelli when the revolution began. Do you know where Arcady is? Nadia asked. Last we heard, he was in Carr, but now he's out of the net, which is the way it should be. A tall, skinny American shambled up to Nadia and put his hand on her shoulder and said, "We're not always like this," and laughed. "We're not," Steve agreed. "But it's a holiday today. You haven't heard?" A giggling woman scraped her face off the table and cried, "Independence Day! 14 the 14th! Watch this," Steve said and pointed at their TV. An image of space flickered onto the screen. And suddenly, the whole group was yelling and cheering. Woo! Space! Go space! They had locked onto a coded channel from Clark, Steve explained. And though they could not decode its messages, they had used it as a beacon to aim their station's optical telescope. The image from the telescope had been transferred onto the Commons TV. And there it was. The black sky and the stars, blocked at the center by the shape they had all yearned to recognize. The squared-off metallic asteroid with the cable extending out of it. Okay, wait, I don't know what's gonna happen. I'm getting nervous. This is some fucking midsummer shit. Maybe the Green, thank you for 50 months. They're about to name the flower queen or whatever the fuck. The Mayflower Queen. The shape they had all learned to recognize. The squared-off metallic asteroid with the cable extending out of it, aka the space fucking elevator. Now watch, they yelled at the puzzled travelers. Watch. They howled again, and some of them began a ragged countdown, starting at 100. Some of them were inhaling helium, as well as nitrous oxide. And these stood below the big screen singing, "We're off to see the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz, because of the wonderful things he does." Repeat. "We're off to see the wizard." Nadia found herself shivering. The shouted countdown got louder and louder, reached a shrieked 0. A gap appeared between the asteroid and the cable. Clark disappeared from the screen instantly. The cable, gossamer among the stars, dropped out of view almost as fast. Wild cheers filled the room. For a moment, at least. Yeet! And that bitch got yeeted. I was trying to think of a pun, but I'm not that quick. I have to pee again already. They, really scared me. This is about what I was expecting, though. Except I thought they were gonna crash Phobos into it. And I was like, oh my god, everything we've worked on. Except Phobos is a fucking police moon now. The cable, gossamer among the stars, dropped out of view almost as fast. It's New Year's Eve. Wild cheers filled the room, for a moment at least. But it caught, as if on a hitch, as some of the celebrants were distracted by Anne leaping to her feet, both fists at her mouth. "He's sure to be down by now," Simon cried to Anne over their din. "He's sure to be down. It's been weeks since he called." Slowly, it got quiet. Nadia found herself at Anne's side, across from Simon, Peter. Oh my god. Slowly, it got quiet. Nadia found herself at Anne's side, across from Simon and Sasha. She didn't know what to say. Anne was rigid. Her eyes bugged out horribly. "How did you break the cable?" Sax asked. "Well, the cable's pretty much unbreakable," Steve replied. "You broke the cable?" Yelly exclaimed. "Well, no. We separated the cable from Clark, is what we did. But the effect is the same. The cable is on its way down." Saw's noob Shikata Ganai. Oh my god, I'm so embarrassed to be a rebel. Oh fuck, dude. I didn't know Revolution had a price. Oh god. I'm not okay with this. No, we separated the cable from Clark, is what we did. But the effect is the same. That cable is on its way down. The group cheered again, somewhat more weakly. Steve explained to the travelers over the noise. The cable itself was pretty much impervious. Its graphite whisker, with a diamond sponge mesh gel double helixed into it, And they've got smart pebble defense stations every 100 kilometers, and security on the cars that was intense. So Arkady suggested that we work on Clark itself. See, the cable goes right through the rock to the factories on the interior. And the actual end of it was physically, as well as magnetically, bonded to the rock of the asteroid. But we landed with a bunch of our robots and a shipment of stuff from orbit. And we dug into the interior and placed thermal bombs outside the cable casing, and around the magnetic generator. Then today, we set them all off at once. And the rock went liquid. At the same time, the magnets were interrupted. And, Clark is going like a bullet, so it slipped right off the cable end, just like that. And we timed it so that it's going directly away from the sun. And 24 degrees out of the plane of the ecliptic as well. So it'll be damned hard to track down. At least we hope so. And the cable itself, Sasha said, it got loud with cheers again. And it was Sax who answered her in the next quiet moment. Falling, he said. He was at a computer console, typing as fast as he could. But Steve called out to him. We have the figures on the descent, if you want them. It's pretty complex, a lot of partial differential equations. I know, Sax said. Okay, I actually have to pee again. I'll be right back. And then I guess we have to keep reading because this is fucking insane. I always knew the space elevator was going to get blown up.